So hello everyone, good to see you. It's very dark where I am. I suspect for a lot of you too. So this morning I thought I'd just say a few words about watching the mind, but watching the mind from a grounded place. It's very easy to feel that the watching the mind is an exercise in watching swirliness and lots of fragments of experience that there's a desire to sort of catch, and it can feel quite dissatisfying. Vasantra talks about something he calls klesha soup, where in a way you've got a similar sort of mind, but it's a more defiled mind. There's more obvious klesha or afflictions, but this is a more, I would say, is a more of a sort of mental, more neutral type soup, if you like, but it can have that same soupy quality to it when we're aware of mental activity, when we're aware of what's happening in terms of thoughts and images, perceptions, fragments. Especially when there's a lot of that going on. And it is possible to discern more clearly what's happening. But often our first port of call is to try and use more effort, put more effort in. And trying harder often will make what's happening a bit more conceptually clear. We're able to recognize what a thought is about, for example, or clarify a sort of mental image in the mind. But that's not really what we're trying to do at this point. Yeah, when we sharpen up conceptually, we're using less sort of awareness, if you like, and more sort of personal effort that's more of the thinking about type of mode rather than being with, just being aware of. And actually, when we're closer to that conceptual mode, then we are more likely to get lost in the thoughts, to sort of get lost in the swirl, if you like, and also more likely with the conceptual mode for klesha to arise, as it's within the realm of concept, of thinking about, that we're more likely to have a reactivity in the mind. So it can be helpful to really emphasize the physical senses initially, particularly to ground and to settle in awareness. And the sense of touch, which actually, I think honestly, we sometimes think that that's the only physical sense. It's the body, the sense of touch, and it is a really crucial one. But of course, we have others. We have seeing, hearing, tasting, and touching. But initially, can be really helpful to settle it within the senses, the physical sense of the body, the sensations of the body, and a feeling of embodiment. Or inhabiting the body, touching into what's happening. And with a really light and natural sense of awareness. We're not digging into this particular sense. Actually, we're sort of more opening to, and we're not necessarily settling in one place, but open to what's happening just throughout that single realm of sense experience. And there will be a lot happening. So grounding within the body, within this touch sense, really helps to counter the tendency to an instability of awareness. It gives awareness a bit more stability, less flightiness. The mind can feel very, very flighty when we're watching it. It's here, there, and everywhere. And if we're able to be aware of that, then that's absolutely fine. But if we find that we're pulled into what's happening, then more grounding is helpful. So we temporarily reduce the sense field, if you like, from this sort of open to whatever is happening to just choosing a single field. And it doesn't have to be body sensations. It can be sound. That can be another field of sense input that's really helpful to receptive awareness. But you may not have a lot of sound going on, so there might not be much for the hearing sense to be aware of. So we still notice when we're grounding, settling in one sense, the body sense, we still notice other things happening, momentary sounds, or maybe even there's a residue of sort of taste from your cup of tea, or there's the smells on the in-breath from the incense, perhaps of where you're sitting. So other sense input always arises, and we're never trying to exclude that, but it is possible just to settle more deeply into one particular sense initially, and notice all the other senses from that place of grounding. And once it feels as if there's a little bit more stability in the mind, perhaps from pleasure as well, from that settling process, then open up to the other senses more fully. You could do this one at a time, letting the attention go with the most obvious one. Or you can just open up to whatever is happening through the senses, watching the mind through all the senses, the physical sense and all the physical senses. So including the subtle aspects of mind, which become more available when the mind is a bit more stable. So noticing, feeling, perception, moments of deciding when the mind decides something, noticing thinking, but thinking as thinking rather than getting caught up in the content of the thoughts. And of course, noticing wanting and not wanting, that sort of push-pull of craving and aversion. So I'll lead in the meditation in that way. If you'd like to set yourselves up now, then we'll begin in a minute or two.